Life Burst podcast, where we're going to go over the new stand-up DIVA centers that we're going to be using. We are going to start with VJ Wolf today. And VJ Wolf is a bit of an interesting mixed bag here. So VJ Wolf, like I said with some of these other ones, it's more viable than it is optimal. And I've tried to take this deck and bring it as strong as I can make it, but VJ Wolf center does not give anything that's all that super impressive from a center Lrig, but that's not to say that you can't get wins with it. So we're going to go over the best possible build that I could make of VJ Wolf. And again, I've backed this with quite a bit of testing, trying to find up against cards in the new meta, cards in the old meta, trying to find some way to scrouge out wins. And I've gotten, I think, this to as close as I can get it. You'll see it's a very different Card Jockey than a normal Card Jockey is. We are still using the Endless Punchline package, but we're not super focused on it like we are in Love It or Dig. And the reason why is because we're leaning more heavily into red-green. Now, red-green Stompy can still win games. I have proved it time and time again with my Bang decks, but these things can still win a game of Wixoss. There's some cool interactions that not a lot of people really recognize, and something cool that is this deck uses a small amount of a package of Terra Beasts. It's got a Terra Beast sub-theme to it. So that's something that might interest you as well. You might just want to play Terra Beasts, which, can you think of any other better deck to play Terra Beasts other than the Wolf, Bunny, and Lion deck to also play with Terra Beasts? It's a zoo deck, right? Like, it even has the zoo colors from Magic the Gathering, which is quite cool. But let's talk about what VJ Wolf does. Now, VJ Wolf has the ability to enter charge if you down it, and then it gains another ability, which is enter all of your Signy, get plus 5,000 power, which is quite good. It's a good thing to add to your Signy when you have green and red stuff that cares about Team Pump. Its once a game ability allows you to down one of your level 2 Lrigs to up it, which basically means that you're going to enter charge 4 or 6 in a turn, depending on what you're doing for Punchline. So, right into it. We start with Parajulius. Parajulius, there's a lot of different ways to enter charge in this deck. So Parajulius will be a pretty top-notch common. Plus, you need green. You just need more green in the deck. It's not just all red. It's pretty color tight. So having a little bit extra green in there is always pretty good. And then to top it off, you've got the Wagyu General, which is Japanese. So let's go ahead to the wiki so we can see what it exactly does here. And the answer is that it is a level 1, that when the Signy is placed from the field into the enter zone, if there are 2 or less cards in your enter zone, you get to enter charge 1. So your key play is basically playing this turn 1, doing some attacking. They're probably not killing it. And if it survives to your next turn, you enter from field. It goes to the enter zone, and then, oh, look at that. There's not 2 cards in your enter, so you get an extra enter. And then you can play things like Parajulius on turn 2 and attacking with it. It's cute, but it does a job, which is something that you might be interested. In order to turn on Endless Punchline, you need a fair amount of package of filtering. And the bare minimum of filtering that you can do is basically having a full set of Haniel and having a full set of Good Dig, plus having an MC Lion Dig, right? The MC Lion Dig also gives you filtering. So it basically is a Good Dig that you play every game on turn 1. So you need to do it at least 2 more times, and with 4 Haniel and 4 Good Dig, you should be able to make that happen. Something you could do is use Miracle Draw. That's coming up from the next set as well. You could throw those in here if you felt like it. Maybe taking out a Burning Inferno, or maybe taking out one of these to do something like that. But the white will then start being very tight on your enter. Luckily, these cost colorless, so that's always a good thing. You're running 4 servants here, and so you might see that you're less than 16 level 1s. That's true, but you have a little bit extra in your level 2 slot and quite a bit extra in your late game slot. Again, this enables an Endless Punchline, so it's a weird deck building construction. So you're going to want to make sure you're mulliganing and your MC Lion digging well in order to pull out the things that you need. Now, going on to our level 2s, we've got Lancelot. It's just a staple card. It does the job. It lane clears. It's very good. And you've got Proboscis Monkey. All right, what does that do, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. It's actually quite a good card that you're going to see more and more often as we go forward in the meta. And it does like team pumping, which is a big draw to it. But more importantly, red will get more team pumping as time goes on. So you should probably learn this Signy now. It is a constant. As long as Signy's power is 12,000 or more, it can't be downed by your opponent's effects. That's basically there for Madoka Clap, if you guys were wondering. And then you have an action, red, colorless, colorless. If the Signy's power is 15,000 or more, it gains Assassin. It's not very hard to make it gain Assassin in this deck. So this is quite good in that front. If it wasn't blasphemy to go lower in Lancelot numbers, and if we weren't playing Endless Punchline, then we might run a full set of these. It is also a Terra Beast for that matters. None of these are Terra Beasts. I know this one might be, but that's an Aquatic Beast, and this one looks like it could be because it's got horns. Nope, that's a Brave. So realistically, the next thing is Buffalo. Now, I've had a lot of play with Buffalo, mostly from my Bang decks, where I've learned that if you're trying to combo Buffalo with 3 cards, it's not good. If you're trying to combo Buffalo with 2 cards, it's very good. And Proboscis Monkey plus Buffalo gets it pretty close, but all you really need to do is add some kind of buff here like this, or some kind of buff with the VJ Wolf, and now you've got these both at where you need them to be. Not to mention that it's this buff on its own, 4,000, will get it to the can't be downed over here. It won't get it to the Assassin, but you've got other things to do that. Again, you've got your main center that allows you to do that. But there's a combo between Fennec and Buffalo that's really worth mentioning. Now, Fennec, it's not hard to get Fennec to attack with 15,000 or have something attacking on your field with 15,000 in order to enable this Enter Charge 1 ability that it has. I almost every time gets it as an Enter Charge 1, plus it has a good life burst of being able to negate some attacks. The important thing is that on each attack phase, this Signy becomes, and remember, it says each attack phase, so that includes your opponents. This Signy's power becomes the power of target Signy on your field till end of turn. So, if you play a Buffalo, and then you play a Fennec, Buffalo turns into 16,000, and this is, again, it's very important here, its base power is 10,000, but it has a plus 4,000 on it, right? Then when you get to your attack phase, you can take this base power, or this power, does not say base power, it says just its power, which is 12,000 plus 4,000, 16,000, and make its base power 16,000. Now it has a plus 4,000 on it already, so it hits 20,000, which means that it will still get Buffalo's ability at it as long as you trigger them correctly in the correct order. So that's the 2-card combo right here, is that you don't need more than 3 cards or 2 cards in order to enable a Buffalo move. Plus, you can get pretty absurd levels. Again, I've had up to almost 26,000 before. You've got a Sakagetsun also, which will help just turn this on immediately. Plus these 2 cards in combination will make sure that Buffalo gets to 20,000 without fail. And again, you have a team pump here. So that's the main reason why we're really focusing in on green-red, is because it plays very well with this once a game, because you're entering it only once, team buff. Going down to the spell selection, you've got Good Dig. We just talked about that. It's just how you enable Endless Punchline, and then we follow it up with a Eternal Influence. And to get to that, here's the English of Eternal Influence. When you use this spell, you may pay an additional Exceed 4 for this cost, which is putting 4 cards from underneath your Lrigs to the Lrig trash. You can then target a Signy on your opponent's field with power 8,000 less. If you paid, you can vanish a Signy on the opponent's field with 8,000 or less. Additionally, if you exceeded 4, you can just vanish that Signy. So this has a lot of late game ways to just kill them, right? Between this and this and this, you've got your late game really set up. You've also got early game removal set up between Deafening Inferno and Lancelot. to further push that you will inevitably win this game, you have Silent Assassin, and this could be, for example, if you wanted it to, you could make Silent Assassin, what is it? Future Code, which gives things Lancer on your field if you have Signies that are power 15,000 or more. And between all the team pump that you've got going on, you can enable that pretty easily. But you also have Silent Assassin, which doesn't need that, and you can play it a little later if you want. And it gives all of your stuff, it gives 2 of your things Assassin if the opponent's power is 12,000 or greater, something you can actually turn on with Osaga Getsune. It's a toss-up as to what you want, but that's inevitably what you're going to be using that Enter Charge 6 for. So you want a more expensive Enter Sync piece here in order to do this. One of the cool things that this deck has over a lot of the other decks is that it has Enter Syncs, unlike most other decks. Most decks will just keep vanishing your cards without really thinking about Enter Starving you, because they know that eventually you'll try to run out of cards, and that's how they're trying to get you. However, the sheer amount of Enter that you have the ability to sync into things on between all of these abilities means that's a terrible option. So you can actually use that to your advantage. So for decks like Musica and Madoka, they just do not stand a chance against this type of deck, because they really just do not care how long the late game goes. They will keep ripping their field up over and over and over again and use that Enter that they keep supplying them with. So again, this isn't the greatest deck in the world, but I think if you wanted to play VJ Wolf, you could probably bring this to your locals and get some top placements with it. I think I've refined it as much as it possibly can. You have the bare minimum number of Terra Beasts in order to have this Terra Beast package going on, so it fits quite well. And I think it's got the best cards for each scenario that you can run into. But if you guys have any other ideas of what could be done, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And as always, may you flip a life burst.